fourth grade students. This is our next project. It is the project that we will be doing for our fundraiser. So, to get us started, I want to talk a little bit about line weight before I jump into the lesson. Because for this lesson, we're going to do some line designs called Zentangles, and then we're going to be able to color in our spaces. But before we get started, I would like you to look at the same picture, one where the line weight is all of the same, and one where the line weight has varied. Line weight means how thick the line is. So, in our first example here, you can see that with the same line weight, everything is really tough to see. Everything all kind of blends together, and your eye's not really sure where to look, and who knows what picture it is. You can kind of see, but again, it's a little tricky. So, with changing up your line weight, meaning making some areas thicker, some thinner, making some look like the objects closer together so the space looks darker, and some more open so the space looks lighter, you can kind of change up how the image looks and kind of make things look more exciting. So this is the exact same picture. The same designs, the same everything, except the only difference is I changed up the line weight. So over here, I did some bigger dots instead of all of the same. Up here, the stripes got thicker, and some got smaller as well. But again, it's just all about varying how thick your lines are, how thin your lines are, having some spaces of a lot of dark versus a lot of spaces of a lot of white. And then having some that are in between. So that's kind of what you're going to think when you are doing this lesson this week. And then again, after we do all of our fancy line work, the last step again is to color it. And again, so this picture goes this way, but didn't really fit well in that space. Alright, so then you can see it's a rose. So I colored in the red, colored in the green leaves, and then I kind of rainbowed out my background with colors that I wanted to pick from. So you guys aren't going to have to do a rose. Again, this is kind of an example of like a really advanced one, which I had some students last year do. Something similarly advanced, but again, you can keep it super simple, just like we are going to be keeping super simple in our example today. Alrighty. So, you are going to need to get started your paper and a pencil. Now, your paper can go this long way, or it can go this way. Doesn't really matter. But you should definitely start in pencil. And this lesson should be at least a 2-week lesson. There may need to be like a 3rd week of a wrap-up. I really want you trying your hardest. Again, this is our project for the fundraiser, so our goal is to get it done before the end of the month, which we definitely should be able to do. But please take your time, spend a while figuring out what you want for your center object and all this good stuff, and you will really like this project. This project does take a while, so if you do not take the time to pick an object that you like, you may not have as much fun as your classmates. So, in pencil first, you are going to want to sketch in a very open object. Now, what I mean by that is kind of similar to what we did this past week with the dot project, was that central open figure. Now, not everyone maybe picked that in the at-home because I gave at-home students a choice. So what I'm talking about is having a big open outline and sketching it first with your pencil. So a good example of that would be maybe a really big open pumpkin. So again, I would sketch out my idea, focusing on the outline shape. I'm not worried about what's going on that inside. Just worrying about this overall outside shape. Then, when you're happy with your outline, when in a good place, make sure you're on the final copy paper, because you are more than welcome to use scrap paper or lined paper, whatever you have in yours at home, to kind of work with this until you get an outline that you're happy with. But then once you're ready, you want to make sure you have this outline on your final copy. Now, you don't have to have it as large as I have here. You could have many small objects, like maybe you want to do a bunch of stars. Here, it may be a moon and some more stars. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So you can do one large object or a couple small objects. That's your choice. But you want to make sure you kind of fill the page. Alrighty, so back to our pumpkin. So once you're on your final paper, and that's the paper I passed out to send home with you guys, so you should have gotten that on Friday. Unless you're absent, then just kind of use the best paper you have available to you. I will get you one when you come back to school. So I know that's going to be a little tricky because we want to make sure these are the best that we can do to upload for the fundraiser. Anywho, after you have your paper all penciled out, you want to go ahead and take that Sharpie I sent home in your kit, and you want to outline it in Sharpie. Now, really use that Sharpie instead of your black marker. One, because some of the black markers are coming out gray and they're not so dark. Plus, it's a washable type of marker, which means when you add some water to it, it starts to smudge and blend. That Sharpie is permanent, and you're really not going to smudge all your line work, which, considering how much line work that we are doing in this project, you don't want that to happen to you. So my at-home artists, you are free to copy me just because I feel bad I'm not there to help you make your image. But again, always, 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 I love choice. So you are also welcome to do your own idea, getting your own outline, and then just following the similar steps that I'm showing you here in the video, as well as what you'll be able to see in the following slides. There are also some examples of really good outlines too, so check those out too if you're kind of feeling stuck. Alright, so after you finish your outline and you Sharpie it, the next thing that you are going to do is you are going to divide this area up. Now what I mean by that is, you're going to make that space divide it into smaller spaces. Now I took the opportunity here to add some of my pumpkin lines, so I took my ridge here and my ridge here and my ridge here, or my stem is, and I kind of divided that up so you can see that it's more like a pumpkin than it was on this step here. But then I also went farther because you don't want to have so many large spaces. You're going to get bored of your pattern, and it's going to look cooler the more spaces you have, because you'll be able to spread your patterns out more, and I'll get to that in a minute. But so you want to be able to divide them up, and then that's where if you have a character with eyes, you can put their eyes in, and yeah. So that's that. Now, again, thinking about line weight and patterns and all of that stuff, that is what's going to be going into these spaces. So not only do you want to divide up these outside spaces, you also want to divide up your background ones as well. So for my background, I kind of just went around randomly, divided it up, and that was that. Now, once your paper looks sort of like this, you have your outline shape, you divided it up, you divided it out your background. Now you're ready to start designing. So our design work is also going to be done with that Sharpie that you got. So try your best to use your Sharpie to make thicker lines and to make thicker patterns, as well as leaving it just like the Sharpie weight. So this is probably the skinniest line you'll get with this Sharpie. You're welcome to use smaller black pens and black Sharpies if you have them, but as this is what I gave you, if you only have this, then it's fine. You'll just work from this line to get thicker. Alrighty, so when we are adding patterns into our pumpkin, what we want to do is we want to think of things that repeat, because not only does things look interesting when the line weights are varied, but also when they repeat. So if you do a pattern here, try doing it in 2 other spaces that do not touch. So do it here, maybe do it here, do it here. If you run out towards the end, it's okay to have like 1, 2, an occasional one. But by having the pattern here, also be here, and also be here, and then having this pattern also be here, and also be here, will help your eye to look around the paper, and it will help the movement, and it will really make your image pop. So, with that being said, what you're going to do next is you are going to start your designing. And feel free to check out the design ideas that I have on the examples, as well as there's a design sheet at the end of the PowerPoint. So feel free to look at those, or you can just come up with your own patterns with your imagination.